I remember we were in high school, but we were growing up during the war when they used to show the newsreel, Germany, Hitler and marching, and to me it was a strange feeling when I got off that ship in Bremerhaven, Germany. I'm thinking about,
Yeah.
but I swear those people over there treated us, I mean, nice.
Yeah.
Nicer than we were treated here, when we got back here. I'm
Yeah.
serious. I was surprised.
Well, it's a strange thing. I say the same thing because when I got in Germany, like I said, if I go in one section, we go in another section. They treated us like we was their brothers and sisters. Take us in their home. Uh, Never overcharged us in the bar and gave lots of time. They gave us free beer and stuff and take us out to activities. Took me out to the Oktoberfest over there. It was just. And it's a funny thing. The white guys in my outfit never experienced that type of thing. I hear them talk about it. That they talk about how they're being ripped off in their clubs and everything.
Yeah.
But we never had that problem.
No. I thought it probably had to do with those World War II veterans that were stationed over there in Germany. They got along. Well, a lot of them married a lot of those women and brought them back. But that was a strange feeling to go over there and to be treated like that. I wasn't used to that, man.
Well, did you ever tell you the tale about they always thought the black soldier had tails?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Right.
They asked me about that. They told me about it. I said, what are you talking about? They said, well, we always heard that you black people had tails.
Yeah, but yeah, I experienced that.
Well, I think I told you about my experiences on the streetcar in a remote place in Japan, and these two little schoolboys had just come out of school, and they had the geography books, and they looked at Africa, and then they looked behind me. So they were looking for tails too. But I worked in a dental laboratory, and making teeth for the airmen, and there was a Japanese doctor who worked with us, and he was very, very, very friendly. And I was invited to his house a couple of times, and wife was very, very nice. Had, I think, one or two small children, but I'll never forget that. I'll never forget it.
Anybody ever ask you? Because they asked me why we were fighting for our country.
No, but I think, I was in there from 50 to 54, and that was during the Korean War, and you could hear a lot of that, and the Stars and Stripes and things like that. But one thing I remember, I guess, is when the Supreme Court outlawed, segregated schools, and I think I still have that. I may still have that newspaper at home, the Stars and Stripes newspaper. So.
I think Jim has hit on something there. They never asked me why we fight the war, but they were definitely aware of our problems over here. They knew that we were being mistreated over here. I don't know how they knew it, but they knew that. Why are you here? And also, I guess they also said, why are all those black over in this one section of town and the white over there? They knew that segregation was there. You know that?
Yes, indeed, they knew it. And then, of course, I understand, like during World War One, those veterans that went to France and Germany, and World War II, the same thing. They went through the same thing. But they used to set us up, with beer. I didn't mean to say beer, Talbot. With milkshakes,
Yeah.
But then eventually it would get around to the fact that why are you guys? Why do you fight for your country? The way that you treat it and all that kind of stuff. And we are Americans. That's it. That was all you could,
Maybe that's the reason why they overcompensated us, because they realized that things was not right with us, that we were maybe being mistreated.
I think I don't know, but it's very possible that even from World War One all the way through that they could have been testing us to see if we would, do something for them, But in the history of this country, I don't recall any African Americans ever going over a spine or doing anything like that for another country.
But I always felt at ease when I was in this those people for some reason. I know because I was young then. I used to drink, not that much, but I couldn't really have them. And I can remember very well one Sunday morning, waking up in this bed in this man's house, and what had happened? He done take me home, and this was in the wintertime. To take me home and put me in bed, and woke up next morning, and they got up and fixed me breakfast just like I was a son. I just don't know how I got home. I got to the house, but they really took care of you. Most of they would have beat you up, robbed you, took your money and everything.
Yeah.
But they really was sort of protective of black guys.
It's strange that here we come from Charlestown, little Potato Hill, Dogtown, and all that, to find yourself over there in a foreign country. That was a strange feeling, man. Like, how did you feel in Japan? Adam? Did you ever think that you'd ever get to Japan? We used to read about it in the history.
Well, never. I never thought about any of that. But listen to George talk about them putting sheets and blankets and everything over him. I was just thinking maybe that could have been a prelude to a lynching.
Mm-hmm.
Because somebody had to get that idea from somebody. And except for being in the military, they would have probably went ahead and caused you some serious problems, injury or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, trouble, I guess, in those days, we sort of was conditioned to it. And we sort of we expected that unequal treatment, and we also expected there was nothing we could do about it, because of the civil rights laws weren't passed and there was no recourse. All we could do is accept it and hope that it don't get much worse.
Well, if it was reported, then you were on the chopping block.
Right.
I mean, you just never said anything about anything that happened to you, no matter who it was.
Remember now, we are like 17, 18 years old.
Yeah.
We leaving the segregated South and going overseas into the military, which they say is integrated, and we never knew what integration was. We thought with integration that means everybody do this and that and that. Well, heck, it was worse in some cases than back out here on the streets in Charlestown.
Well, Jim, when we left here going to service, all three of us, the stores wasn't integrated. You couldn't even go and sit down at the place. You couldn't go to the same movies and sit down together. And if you look at a white female, you'd subject to be lynched,
Yeah.
And this was back in the 50s, And then all of a sudden you find yourself in a whole new environment. It's
And then another strange thing, especially we come from a small town, and here we are in the military, and people talking about integrated, the military integrated, and all that kind of stuff. And I got out of the service in 1955. I come back here to Charlestown, and it was just like it was before we left. So integration never really.
Well, it's funny, because after you go in the military and spend your time, like I said, I enjoyed the military, like Boy Scouts, and come back here and the thing's still the same. And they had the GI Bill. I never forget that. And I want to build a house. 'Cause I always saw Donald and Shirley build these two houses out here. So that's the reason why I decided to build a house, because of them. I go and try to get a loan to build a house. Every bank in the county turned me down. None of them would let them no money. I was working for the VA. Had the lot, and none of them would let me have a penny. I had to wind up going and getting a direct loan from the federal government. It's strange. When I looked around and saw all these white guys get using the GI Bill for this, doing that, and also using it to go into business, and yet the bank would not let me have a penny. I often think about that.
That GI Bill, and I tell you, was good for. Well, all three of us went to school on GI Bill. You went to GI Bill too, didn't you? All three of us. If it wasn't for that GI Bill, I don't know if I'd have gone to school or not.
I couldn't afford it.
Yeah.
Well, I watched the black GIs, World War II guys coming back to high school, after World War II. And that's where I got, to thinking that if they could do it, if there was going to be a GI Bill, I'd take advantage of it too.
Yeah.
And there wasn't. at that particular time, I think they had stopped it. But then shortly after I got in there, they reestablished the GI Bill benefits and everything, and that's what pushed me, because I had intended to go to college one way or the other, but that would have been a better way, because I just didn't have, and my parents didn't have no whole lot of money for that.
Did you buy your house through the GI Bill?
No, I had the same experience as you. I couldn't get a GI loan. Everybody else was getting them. I couldn't do it. So eventually I found a contractor who was just starting up, and he built my home. But this was after I had completed college. And here it was me and my wife, both of us had degrees and everything. On the way to getting jobs and stuff like that. And they said no. And you went to the bank loan offices, and they would just kind of ignore you. They'd ignore you. And you had to wonder, what in the world am I going to do? Because, here are all these houses out, you expect to get some respect being in the service.
But you could go into that bank and got money for a brand new car.
Oh, yeah.
Brand new car.
Right.
Right.